Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian Season 2, the finale episode. That's right, 45 minutes dedicated just to the last episode of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. And honestly, they could have done a whole docuseries on this last episode. There was so much to dive into, but we ended up getting 44 minutes of basically just the last 10. When Luke Skywalker shows up, and it's not just some guy playing Luke Skywalker, although there is Matt. We met Matt. He's a double, but it was actually Mark Hamill. Clean-shaven Mark Hamill. Brushed to the side hair Mark Hamill. And we got a great insight. First things first, I don't know what looks better. I don't know if The Mandalorian looks great. I think the behind-the-scenes documentary looks even better than The Mandalorian. It's so well done, and it's, from their perspective. So there's no tracking in case you've never seen one of these specials before. But it's all from Dave, and it's all from Jon Favreau. And we got a little Peyton Reed in there. And so you're just learning about everyone's passion for Star Wars at a deeper level. And we got to explore some incredible themes. Star Wars is, yes, it's lightsabers and ships and the Force and rebels versus the Empire. But at its core, and what this special dives into so well, is it's about the relationships. And so that's, to me, so exciting, is when you get into this series and you're learning about the story behind John coming up with Mark Hamill coming back as Luke Skywalker. And before that, just how can we bring back Luke Skywalker? Loved hearing Dave's collaboration and his excitement about bringing Luke back, but then how he was able to flip it back on Jon Favreau and be like, well, if we bring in Luke, we're going to bring in R2. And it's interesting between when you see Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in this episode talking, because there's definitely a professional relationship. And I think to a point, there's probably a friendship, but there's these moments that we've seen, and it's through all the Disney Gallery. It's stuff you see online, but they swap back and forth between master and apprentice. And so there's these parts where John's talking about seeing Dave's joy, but then Dave's seeing John's joy in all of this. And I thought that was really enjoyable to see how that, I don't know if it's a bromance, but that relationship really flourish as they work to tell these stories. That to me was really enjoyable. And, John kind of elaborates, I guess they both did, but they talk about the joy of Star Wars. And maybe that's, a moment in the movie, or it's a relationship that they have with a person that they share it with. And they talk about how that's why it's a generational story, that Star Wars resonates with young and older, is because of that bond. And that hit home with me. Like I just explained, I lost my dad, and my God, we watch Star Wars all the time. And so I thought I connected to that immensely. There was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of fascinating insight. I think something that surprised me was, my goodness, 10 minutes on deepfake. Maybe not that much, but they went through the different types of technology that they considered to allow Mark Hamill to be Luke Skywalker in this scene. And it made me chuckle at first, because if you'll remember, when this came out, when the finale came out, everyone was, trying to do a deep fake and try and prove that they could do it better than how Luke looked in the episode. But as John explained, they just found that they could do it better with a different method. And I kind of thought it was like a good, FU to the trolls, because there were a lot of man babies online crying that a deep fake would look better. When you learn the process of how they're ingesting, all this video, and they're trying to get Mark's likeness, I found the whole thing incredibly interesting. And I could have watched 42 minutes just on that. Really fascinating stuff. I don't know if people interpreted that conversation the way I did. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about the tribute to Kathleen Kennedy. And I'm being facetious, and I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but basically, here's what John said. Kathy Kennedy, we brought in very early on this conversation, referring to bringing Luke Skywalker back on screen. Kathy, first and foremost, is a great producer, and producers figure ways to make things happen that are creatively exciting to the storytellers. Not only does she understand how to create an environment where we can have all the tools that we need to explore and experiment and be creative, but also knows what it takes to incubate ideas and understands the significance of when you do it right, what they can represent. And I think it's interesting that those words were chosen because when I reflect on this episode and all of the insight that they were able to provide, I'm really thinking about they went out of their way really to credit Kathleen as a great producer. And John at one point goes a little bit further, talking about how there's like pride in the fandom, how people feel like these stories are being told right, and the Star Wars is being treated with respect. And this was the dialogue that he was having to kind of set up this ode to Kathleen Kennedy. There are a lot of people that are hell bent in believing that Kathleen Kennedy is the worst thing to happen for Star Wars. I can't agree with that. Do I agree with every decision regarding Star Wars since the Disney buyout? No. But when do you ever agree with everything? I'm sure people who are passionate about the MCU could find something to gripe about. People aren't happy. 54 million people have watched this No Way Home trailer already, and there's people upset about something with Doctor Strange and he's acting weird. Whatever, they're going to still get your money and my money too. I just think that there is an immense sense of pride with this team producing this series. And it seems like they're very aware that they've locked onto something that we're all invested in. We love the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. The anticipation, I think, is very high for the Book of Boba Fett that drops this December. I think there is a lot of anticipation to see, okay, what does a spinoff look like? Does it maintain that same level? The production, I would say, like the dialogue, it sounds like Star Wars. It looks like Star Wars. The music, all these things. Can they do this? Can they spin off successfully? Because we know that the plan ultimately is we're getting that Ahsoka series. And there's also a couple other series that may or may not happen. We don't want to get into that right now. People don't work for Star Wars right now. It's all good. It's all fine. We're happy. We're in a good place. Grieving, it's a process, and we're moving forward with the grieving process. At least that's what I took away from Billy Crystal in 2004 is analyze that. All right. How's the live chat looking? I'm going to dive in here and see what everyone is talking about. Matthew, the Kathleen Kennedy praise was a big FU to the trolls. That would seem like it was the case. And I don't think that anyone with Lucasfilm, Disney, it's not about directing anything towards the trolls, but it's reiterating where credit is due. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni get a lot of this credit. I can tell you, working in broadcast news, the producer doesn't get nearly enough credit when a newscast goes well or when breaking news is covered well. And so, and also Kathleen Kennedy's in charge. So there's no harm in getting a little job security if you pay it forward. Jesse, fundamentally, Star Wars should deliver a good feeling and uplifting message. Jesse, that's a great quote that you just pulled from Dave Filoni, and I think that's really something to focus on. And that kind of goes to a larger point about the joy of Star Wars. And it's maybe a moment in the movie like we talked about, or its relationship, but it should make you feel good. And I loved seeing the footage of the crew so excited to see Luke Skywalker on set. And the fact that the crew was so small because they were simultaneously shooting another episode. And so it's just this core group, and they were so scared that it would leak out that they were using Plo Koon as a cover-up, which I think is funny. Dave explained it how, they use Plo Koon because, he's his favorite Jedi and fans know that. And so people would believe it. But we all know that Plo Koon Plo Koon died at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And so that wouldn't be possible. So we would know that something was afoot, Dave. Your logic fails you. But that's okay. It's really quite all right. I think, they could have told us anything. I put out a poll that we'll get to in a little bit, but I was like, what's the one Jedi that could have rolled up at the end of Mandalorian season 2 and been as well received or more than Luke Skywalker? And I mentioned Ahsoka Tano, thinking like that would be another Jedi that I would imagine because she is Dave Filoni's child, love child, and everyone shot me down. They're like, that would be horrendous. She's already getting a series. That's good enough. All right. The hostility. I could watch Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau talking Star Wars for 12 hours. They could do a 15 episode season. I would watch every bit of it. It's intriguing. It's cool seeing Star Wars, how it's made. I think there was so much emphasis on how season 1 was made, because this 360 technology that they're now using, that it's now being used with Marvel products as well. And in season 2, well, what's the next big thing that's going to advance how Star Wars is told? And we got a little insight into that in this episode. It was really cool. You just saw it flash up on your screen, but I liked how Dave Filoni did the drawing of R2 tilting over to meet Grogu. I thought that was a charming moment. And it's a moment that I remember watching, like in the moment, watching the finale and feeling a little emotional about. There's something about, I don't know, the old generation, the new generation acknowledging each other. I don't know. I thought it was all very cool. I very much enjoyed it. I want to know what you think. Is the Disney Gallery something you want to see continue because of the insight that it allows us to have from these creators? I want to know what you think. Comment down below. If you're watching live, let me know in the live chat. You can always tweet us at BTBD Star Wars. Really a lot of fun. Diving back in the live chat because I want to see what everyone's talking about. Matthew says the haters and trolls need to do some research and they will see how many of the great 80s movies Kathleen Kennedy was involved in. That's true. And also, I think that this is important. This is an accountability moment for me. I got to hold true to this. I promised moving forward that I'm not going to worry about the trolls or Twitter drama or stuff in the fandom because I think it's all very stupid. And I think it cheapens everything. It makes us unhappy. So let's just not worry about them. My encouraging, this is what I did. I blocked 10 people today. It was awesome because they were tweeting about this stuff. And I said, I don't care. So goodbye. We're only going to talk Star Wars, things happening, things we love. We can be critical of Star Wars all we want. But I don't care about this online social media mumbo jumbo. It's just not fun. It's just not fun. Scotty J-Ro comments, what did you think of seeing an older Luke? I thought it was incredible to see Mark Hamill, present day, in those Return of the Jedi robes. It was chilling. It was emotional. It was really exciting because we got a glimpse of that at the very end of The Last Jedi, right? He walks out there in his robes, and of course it's a projection, but you're seeing Jedi Master Luke Skywalker pulling off some really cool moves, wielding a blue lightsaber. I'm into it. But when you're seeing on set Mark Hamill in those robes and knowing that this is kind of what Mark Hamill always wanted, it's well documented. He wanted the opportunity to tell that story of what came after Return of the Jedi. And he says it himself. You watch New Hope, you watch Empire and Return, and you see this farm boy become a learner and then a Jedi Knight, and then the story ends. Well, what does Luke Skywalker do? What is he like at his full strength? Now, we've looked back. We've gone to the sequel trilogy in The Last Jedi and in The Rise of Skywalker. We've been able to look back. We've been able to see the sins of Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. But what about Jedi Master Luke Skywalker when he was pure? He's just redeemed his father. The Empire is splintered. He is trying to scour the galaxy, trying to find these Force-sensitive youth to try and assemble a new Jedi Order. Try and do it a different way. And then try and lead to a brighter day for the galaxy. And we got that. He gets that. And so, yeah, you see him walking down the hallways. He's holding the lightsaber, and what was really fascinating too is this notion of, even though that Luke as a Jedi is way up here and other Jedi are down here, he doesn't have the training saber-wise to be able to do really outlandish moves in that hallway. And so they talk about how every move is very deliberate, but how every move is just a little ahead, of his opponent. And I love that. And I also thought that was a really nice, I want to say lean, but that's not the right, but I think that's a really nice foreshadowing of the style of lightsaber use that we get in this sequel trilogy. Because one of the things that I complained about with the sequels is you don't get that, you don't get any finesse. It's all very aggressive. But it makes sense with how Rey was raised and eventually Luke training Rey he wouldn't be the greatest swordsman in the world. If he went head to head with Ahsoka would whoop his butt. I mean, I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong. If someone wants to do like some kind of like computer generated, demo, I mean, I'll watch that. I mean, I think that'd be great. But I think I agree. Like he's not the best swordsman, but he has the ability to predict the next move of his opponent so well that he's able to get through with these very specific, very direct moves. It looked incredible. I still think of that moment where he's in the hallway and he slides. He like glides on the floor. He's like sliding into home plate and gets up and slide. It's just so well done. So well done. Big fan.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.